a dramatic turn in the US-Germany relations, the Pentagon has reportedly cut off communication with Germany. And this comes as Washington has moved to reduce its direct involvement in the Ukraine war and in Europe as such, urging NATO members to play a bigger role in their defense. The German army chief saying that communications between the Pentagon and the German Defense Ministry have been sharply reduced. The top military officer saying he now relies on German diplomats in Washington to find somebody in the Pentagon for basic information about US policy. According to Germany's army chief, the cracks in the US-Germany relations are not new. In fact, saying that the Trump administration offered no warning to Berlin about its move to suspend certain weapons shipments to Ukraine early this year. Let's just break this down further. The United States has traditionally treated Germany as one of its most important European allies. Germany hosts the highest number of active duty US military personnel in Europe. And there are about 35,000 soldiers stationed at German bases, which also serve as staging posts for American operations across Africa and West Asia. Earlier in the year, the US had planned to deploy Tomahawk long-range missiles in Germany by next year. The US has vowed development of hypersonic weapons that have a longer range than the current capabilities in Europe. After Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, Germany agreed to work towards spending 2% of its economic output on defense within a decade. But its progress was slow in the years that followed, and Donald Trump complained in his first term, remember, that Germany and other NATO members were not paying their share. With the US winding down activity in Europe in a way, Germany has recognized that it needs to rearm. It is apparently looking beyond the US for air defense weaponry. Reversing its history, Germany is purchasing advanced weapon systems from Israel. It has signed a $4.3 billion defense deal to acquire the Israeli-made Arrow 3 air defense missile system. The Arrow 3 system is designed to take out ballistic missiles while they are still outside of the atmosphere. Not just that, Germany is permanently stationing troops beyond its borders for the first time since the Second World War. Berlin mulls turning the armed forces of Germany into the strongest conventional force in Europe by 2029. This after warnings from the defense minister and other officials who claim that Russia could attack the NATO in the coming years. But Moscow has vehemently rejected those claims as unfounded. It says Western governments are deliberately using the threat of Russian aggression to stoke fears and justify rapid militarization across the European Union. A rare piece of imperial history has just shattered records. The imperial winter egg, crafted for Tsar Nicholas II, is an Easter gift to his mother, sold for an astonishing $13 million at a Christie's auction. Switching gears for now, the Colombian president has invited his US counterpart Donald Trump to witness the demolition of cocaine laboratories. And his statement came in response to Trump singling out Colombia for producing cocaine and selling it into the United States.
Okay, and then they sell us their cocaine. We appreciate that very much. But yeah, anybody that's doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack.
In fact, as we break this down, the leader quickly reacted to his warning, saying that his government has destroyed 18,400 cocaine laboratories without missiles. And he invited Trump to see how the labs are destroyed one every 40 minutes. And the Colombian leader also warned that a threat to his country's sovereignty was a declaration of war that he said will awaken a jaguar. And he advised Trump not to damage 2 centuries of diplomatic ties. While highlighting that his US counterpart has already slandered him, he added, do not continue down that path. Now, according to the US Drug Enforcement Administration, Colombia remains the main source of cocaine entering the United States. Approximately 84% of the cocaine seized in the US in 2024 was sourced from Colombia. Trump's administration has deployed a huge military force to the Latin American region under the pretext of stemming the flow of drugs to the US and has carried out missile attacks on vessels in the Pacific Ocean and Caribbean Sea, killing at least 83 people in the process. Trump made his remarks on expanding attacks against narcotics exporting countries while seated next to the Secretary of War, who is under scrutiny for a so-called double-tap strike in September that killed 2 survivors from an earlier U.S. attack on a vessel in the Caribbean Sea, which had already killed 9 people. Experts saying the second attack on the 2 survivors as they clung to the wreckage of the destroyed vessel was potentially a war crime, and both Democrat and Republican lawmakers have promised to investigate the circumstances of the killings. They purr for comfort, they hiss when angry, yet when it comes to talking, cats seem to save their meows for men, it seems. It's a rather curious pattern, backed by science. What makes this chatter louder around the male voice? Cats, of course, don't just talk, they choose their audience. New research revealing that cats meow more at men than women. It's not love, it's not fear, just sound science. A study in Switzerland placing hidden microphones in homes. The result was unmistakable. Cats became chattier around male voices. Scientists saying it's all about the pitch. Women's softer tones comfort cats, while men's deeper voices spark curiosity or tension. For a cat, a man's voice might sound like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Cats use over 100 vocal sounds to control human beings. That half purr, half cry. It mimics a baby sound, an instinct no human can ignore, and the trick works every time. Pet owners worldwide admit that cats manipulate through tone, timing, and eye contact. The sound that they make, turns out, is an art form. Cats were first domesticated around 9,000 years ago. Beyond human-specific meows, cats are full of surprising talents, it seems. They detect frequencies well above and below our hearing. The average house cat shares 95.6% of its genetic makeup with a tiger. So the next time your cat greets you with a booming meow when you walk in, especially if you are male, remember, you might just be failing the basic test of cat attention in a way. China's military leadership is entering one of its most aggressive phases of political control yet, it seems. Beijing has reportedly announced sweeping new disciplinary rules for the People's Liberation Army, tightening the loyalty requirements that appear to be making unquestioned obedience to President Xi Jinping the defining condition for service. Let's just break this down for you. The updated regulations, which reportedly take effect on the 1st of January next year, undermine the Communist Party's demand for absolute ideological conformity. The military now faces punishment for what the party calls incorrect political views, improper comments, and any refusal to follow the orders from the Central Military Commission. The Central Military Commission, chaired directly by Xi Jinping, is China's highest military power structure. The new framework further reinforces Xi Jinping's position as the key decision maker on every major military matter. The chairman responsibility system basically puts him at the top of command, And the revised rules seek to eliminate any challenge to that authority. The PLA Daily, the official military newspaper, states that the rules will prioritize strict political discipline above everything else. Although full details remain undisclosed, the revisions appear to broaden the definition of political misconduct. Any deviation from the party messaging will soon qualify as a disciplinary violation. These regulations arriving amid an intense purge inside the Chinese armed forces. Just this October, 9 top generals have been removed from both the party and the military for alleged disloyalty and severe disciplinary breaches. While over the past year, the anti-corruption drive has extended deep into the defense sector, affecting aerospace companies, weapons research institutes, major military contractors. According to a report, corruption investigations in China have disrupted procurement deals and also stalled the key weapons programs, creating uncertainty around Beijing's long-term modernization plans. The report by the Swedish think tank SIPRI also states, remember, that China's military-industrial sector struggled last year, even as global arms manufacturers, on the contrary, posted record sales. Xi Jinping has repeatedly labelled corruption the biggest danger to the Communist Party and has directed the military, in fact, to treat loyalty to the party as equal in importance to combat capability. Experts saying the new rules incorporate lessons learned from recent investigations and reflect Beijing's determination to prevent dissent within the ranks. China's push to centralize military control continues. And with these new regulations, the message from Beijing appears to be clear: unquestionable political obedience to Xi Jinping now defines the very foundation of military service. There is a sweeping new immigration freeze in the United States. The Trump administration has paused all immigration applications, including green cards and U.S. citizenship for immigrants from 19 non-European countries. Not just this, the Trump administration is also mulling to expand the travel ban to include 30 countries. The White House says it's about national security and public safety. But the move revives and sharpens the earlier travel ban. At the center of this decision is a deadly attack on National Guard members in Washington last week. An Afghan man was arrested as the suspect. One officer was killed, another was critically injured, and the administration is using that incident to push through the broadest legal immigration restrictions since Trump returned to office. The list includes countries of the MENA region, Asia, Africa, West Asia, Latin America, 19 in total. The US says the list of more countries to be added will come out soon. The new memorandum orders a full review of every pending case. Citizenship oaths have been cancelled, naturalization interviews put on hold, green card applications frozen, and for many, a new round of interviews to reassess the security risks. This comes as President Trump sharpens his rhetoric, calling Somalis, quote-unquote, garbage. He said, "We don't want them in our country," quote-unquote, and accused the Biden administration of opening the door to danger. Listen to this.
We got a lot of people in our country that shouldn't be here, and they came in through Biden, and he was the worst president in the history of our country. But the single biggest thing he did was allow millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here.
Since January, the Trump administration has already turned away asylum seekers at the southern border, raised deportation rates in major parts, and expanded the powers of the federal agents. But this new freeze marks a decisive shift, a direct targeting of legal immigration itself, and it leaves thousands of families in limbo, waiting again for a system that has come to a halt. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.